Tonight, I want to talk about something simple and powerful. Love doesn't check your birth certificate. It doesn't ask how many candles were on your last cake. Love moves quietly, like a heartbeat you didn't notice until it became the only sound you could hear. We live in a world that measures everything: time, success, age, but love refuses to be measured. It shows up when two souls recognize each other, when two hearts decide that the distance between their years means nothing compared to the closeness of their feelings. From a love point of view, age is just a number written on paper, while love is written in moments and laughter, in the way someone says your name like it matters more than the rest of the world. Because when love is real, it doesn't ask how old are you, it only asks, are you ready to feel alive? There is something quiet and powerful about the moment you realize that love has never followed the rules we tried to give it. It never stood in line waiting for permission. It never checked a clock before entering your life. It never paused to ask whether the timing made sense to anyone else. Love has always been wild in the gentlest way, free in the most peaceful way, arriving without announcement and staying without explanation. We grow up surrounded by timelines. People talk about the right age for dreams, the right age for success, the right age for marriage, the right age for settling down, the right age for everything. As if life were a long hallway filled with doors labeled by numbers, and we are only allowed to open each door when the calendar tells us we can. And somewhere in that hallway, people try to place love behind one specific door, one specific moment, one specific expectation. But love has never lived in that hallway. Love lives in open fields, in quiet sunsets, in the silence between two people who feel understood without speaking. Love doesn't wait for permission from society, and it doesn't follow the map drawn by tradition. Love moves like wind through open spaces, touching whoever is ready to feel it. From the perspective of the heart, age is a number that exists only in conversation. It has weight in paperwork, meaning in statistics, importance in biology, but in the language of connection, in the language of emotion, in the language of the soul, age becomes something softer, something less solid, something that fades into the background when two people truly see each other. Because love begins where recognition begins, recognition of kindness, recognition of warmth, recognition of that quiet feeling that says, this person feels familiar, even when you have never met before, even when your lives have taken completely different paths, even when your years have unfolded in different seasons. Recognition happens in a space that numbers cannot reach. There is something beautiful about the way the human heart works. It doesn't follow logic the way the mind does. It doesn't create charts or draw graphs. It doesn't calculate the distance between birthdays. The heart listens for something else. It listens for sincerity. It listens for safety. It listens for the feeling of being understood without needing to translate every thought into words. And when it finds that feeling, it pays attention. The world may look at a number and see difference. The heart looks at a moment and sees possibility. Think about the way conversations begin, the way laughter happens without rehearsal, the way two people can talk for hours and feel as if only minutes have passed. Time behaves differently when connection is real. Minutes stretch into memories. Hours become stories. Entire evenings feel like a single breath shared between two souls who forgot to watch the clock. When you are truly present with someone, the concept of age becomes distant. You stop thinking about years and start thinking about moments. You stop counting time and start feeling it. And that shift is where love begins to take shape. Love doesn't ask how long you have lived. It asks how deeply you are willing to feel. There are people who find love early in life, when the world feels wide and uncertain and every emotion feels amplified. There are people who find love later, after life has softened them, shaped them, taught them lessons they never expected to learn. And there are people who find love when they had stopped looking entirely, when they had made peace with solitude, when they had learned how to exist in quiet independence. Every one of those stories is valid. Every one of those moments is real, because love is not a destination you reach at a certain age. It is an experience you recognize when your heart finally feels seen. Sometimes love arrives like sunrise, slow and warm and gentle. Sometimes it arrives like rain, sudden and overwhelming and impossible to ignore. Sometimes it arrives quietly, building through friendship, through conversations, through shared moments that slowly become something deeper. And sometimes love arrives when you least expect it, when you have stopped waiting and started living. There is no wrong time for love to appear. The idea that love belongs only to a certain age is a story written by fear fear of difference, fear of judgment, fear of stepping outside expectations. But love has never been afraid of difference. Love has always celebrated the way two lives can intersect in unexpected ways. When two people connect, they connect through understanding, through empathy, through shared values, and shared laughter, and shared silence. They connect through the way they listen, the way they care, the way they show up for each other in small, quiet ways that the world rarely notices. None of those things can be measured in years. They are measured in presence. Presence is the way someone remembers the details you thought no one noticed. Presence is the way someone makes you feel safe enough to be honest. Presence is the way someone's voice can calm a storm inside your mind. Presence is the way someone's laughter becomes a sound you never get tired of hearing. And presence has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with connection. The truth is, every person carries a different timeline inside them. Some hearts grow slowly, carefully, learning patience before vulnerability. Some hearts open quickly, trusting easily, loving freely. Some hearts break and rebuild and become stronger than they were before. Some hearts spend years learning how to trust again. When two hearts meet, their timelines do not need to match perfectly, they only need to meet in understanding. Love is not about where you started, it is about where you meet. There is courage in loving someone when the world has opinions. There is bravery in choosing connection over expectation. Because love is not always simple in the eyes of others. The world may question it, the world may analyze it, the world may try to fit it into categories that make it easier to understand, but love does not exist to make sense to the world. Love exists to make sense to the heart. And the heart speaks a language older than society, older than tradition, older than the rules we try to follow. The heart speaks the language of feeling, the language of presence, the language of recognition. When you feel truly seen by someone, the years between you become details instead of barriers. They become stories instead of obstacles. They become background instead of foreground. What matters is the way they listen when you speak, the way they care when you struggle, the way they celebrate your happiness as if it were their own. Real love is not built on matching timelines. It is built on shared moments, moments that feel small while they are happening and become priceless when you remember them later. Conversations that stretch late into the night, walks that last longer than planned, silence that feels comfortable instead of awkward. These are the moments that create connection. These are the moments that create love. Love is not about finding someone who fits perfectly into a plan. It is about finding someone who makes the plan feel less important, someone who makes the present feel enough, someone who makes the future feel less frightening and the past feel less heavy. Love is not about age, it is about presence. Presence in the way someone looks at you as if you matter. Presence in the way someone listens as if your words carry weight. Presence in the way someone stays, even when life becomes complicated. Because love is not measured in years. Love is measured in consistency, in effort, in the quiet decision to choose someone again and again. The world often focuses on milestones, on timelines, on expectations. But the most meaningful moments in life rarely follow a schedule. They appear unexpectedly, quietly, sometimes inconveniently, but always powerfully. Love is one of those moments, and when it arrives, it does not ask for your age. It asks for your honesty. It asks for your courage. It asks for your willingness to feel deeply in a world that sometimes encourages distance. There is something deeply human about wanting connection, about wanting to be understood, about wanting someone to share the quiet moments with. And that desire does not disappear with age, it does not fade with time, it does not weaken as years pass. If anything, it grows stronger. Because the longer you live, the more you understand the value of presence, the value of kindness, the value of shared laughter and shared silence. Love is not about the number of years behind you, it is about the moments ahead of you, moments you can share, moments you can create, moments that become memories you carry with you for the rest of your life. When two people choose each other, they are not choosing numbers. They are choosing moments. They are choosing experiences. They are choosing a future filled with shared days and shared nights and shared stories. And that choice is not defined by age. It is defined by connection. Connection is the quiet understanding that says, I see you. Connection is the feeling that says, you are not alone. Connection is the moment when two lives begin to move in the same direction, not because they plan to, but because it feels natural. Love does not rush. Love does not compete. Love does not compare. Love simply arrives, It arrives in laughter. It arrives in kindness. It arrives in the quiet realization that someone's presence has become important to you, that someone's happiness matters, that someone's voice feels familiar in a way you cannot explain. And when that realization happens, the world may still talk about numbers. The world may still talk about expectations. The world may still talk about timelines. But the heart talks about moments, moments that feel alive, moments that feel meaningful, moments that feel real. Because when love is real, it does not feel complicated. The world around it may feel complicated. Opinions may feel loud. Expectations may feel heavy. But the feeling itself is simple. It feels like peace. It feels like coming home to a plaque you didn't know you were searching for. It feels like being understood without needing to explain every detail. It feels like laughter that comes easily, and silence that feels safe. And none of those things have anything to do with age. They have everything to do with connection. Connection that grows through shared experiences, through shared challenges, through shared dreams that slowly become shared plans. Love does not care about the years behind you. Love cares about the moments ahead of you, the memories waiting to be created, the stories waiting to be told, the laughter waiting to be shared, because life is not measured only in time. Life is measured in meaning, and love is where meaning begins to grow. Love is where two lives intersect and create something new, something unique, something that did not exist before those two people met. It is a quiet miracle that happens every day, in countless ways, in countless places, in countless stories that the world may never hear. And in every one of those stories, the heart speaks louder than the calendar, the feeling speaks louder than the number, the connection speaks louder than expectation. Because love has never belonged to time, love has always belonged to the heart. And the heart does not count years. It counts moments, it counts laughter, it counts memories. It counts the quiet ways someone shows up for you when you need them most. That is the language of love, a language older than tradition, older than expectation, older than the rules we try to follow, a language that reminds us that life is not just about time passing, but about moments that make time feel meaningful, moments that feel alive, moments that feel real, moments that feel like they matter. There is a quiet pressure that follows people through life, a pressure that whispers expectations in the background of every decision. It speaks in subtle ways, in conversations at dinner tables, in questions asked by relatives, in timelines that appear in stories and movies and traditions. It tells you when you should fall in love, when you should settle down, when you should feel ready, when everything should happen. It sounds confident, certain, convinced that life can be organized into perfect chapters, but the heart has never listened very well to that voice. The heart hears something else entirely. The heart hears laughter echoing in unexpected moments. It hears silence that feels safe instead of empty. It hears the rhythm of connection building slowly between two people who never planned to meet at that exact moment in their lives. Society loves timelines because timelines feel safe. They create the illusion that life is predictable. They offer the comfort of believing that everything will happen when it is supposed to happen. They give people a map to follow, a schedule to trust, a sense of control over something that is, in reality, deeply unpredictable. But love has never cared about control. Love exists in uncertainty. It grows in spaces that cannot be predicted. It appears in chapters that were never planned, and when it arrives, it often ignores the schedule entirely. People talk about the right age as if it is a destination everyone reaches at the same time, as if readiness is something that can be measured with numbers, as if emotional connection follows the same rhythm in every human heart, but the truth is far more human than that. Every person carries a different rhythm inside them. Some hearts open early, curious and fearless, ready to feel everything deeply. Some hearts take longer, shaped by experiences, softened by lessons, careful with trust. Some hearts learn through joy, some hearts learn through heartbreak. Some hearts learn slowly, quietly, patiently, one small moment at a time. There is no universal timeline for understanding love. And yet, society often behaves as if there is. It creates invisible checkpoints, invisible milestones, invisible expectations that people feel even when they are never spoken aloud. And those expectations can become heavy. They can make people question their own experiences. They can make people doubt feelings that are honest and real simply because those feelings arrived at an unexpected time. But feelings do not become less real because they arrive unexpectedly. If anything, unexpected feelings often carry the most honesty. because they arrive without planning, without pressure, without the influence of expectation. They appear quietly, naturally, gently, in the spaces where people are simply being themselves. Connection does not follow the rules society writes. Connection follows the truth people feel. When two people meet and understand each other, the connection does not pause to calculate years. It does not pause to compare timelines. It does not pause to ask whether the world will approve. It simply grows. It grows through shared conversations, through shared laughter, through shared moments that feel small at first and become meaningful over time. Society measures age because numbers are easy to understand. Numbers feel clear, numbers feel simple. But the heart does not measure life in numbers. The heart measures life in experiences, in memories, in moments, in feelings that leave lasting impressions long after time has passed. When people look back on their lives, they rarely remember the numbers. They remember the moments. They remember the conversations that changed them, the laughter that stayed with them, the presence of someone who made life feel lighter, brighter, more meaningful. And those memories are not organized by age. They are organized by feeling. Love is not a statistic. Love is a story that unfolds in unexpected ways, a story that rarely follows a perfect script, a story that grows through shared experiences and shared understanding. Society wants love to be predictable. The heart knows love is anything but predictable. There is something deeply human about the desire to categorize life, to place experiences into boxes, to label them as early, late, on time, or overdue. But love resists those labels. Love refuses to stay inside the boxes people create, because love is not an event, it is a process of learning another person slowly, of discovering the small details that make them unique, of building trust through shared moments, of creating memories that gradually become part of a shared life. None of that can be scheduled, none of that can be forced, none of that can be measured in years. The idea that love must follow a timeline comes from the belief that life itself should follow a timeline. But life is far more unpredictable than that. Life changes, people change, circumstances change, paths cross in unexpected ways, and in those unexpected